This video is going to talk really briefly about some of the types of bonding we're going to see in biology. Covalent bonds are where atoms come together and they share electrons equally. And you might notice that the prefix co of covalent means with, together, think coworker or cooperative, or if you study Spanish, conmigo. All right. And covalent bonds are pretty strong bonds. And so you can see here in the image that two atoms here are sharing this set of electrons in the middle, sort of like they're holding hands or linking arms, and that bonds those two atoms together. Similarly here, two hydrogens are being bonded together and they're sharing some set of electrons equally in between them. Ions and ionic compounds, or ionic bonds, are going to be a different type of bond. An ion is an atom that is charged, and the charged atom is created when atoms exchange electrons. And remember, electrons are negative, have a negative charge, and the subatomic particle protons have a positive charge. And we don't exchange protons, we only exchange electrons. And so when an atom gains an electron, they are gaining something negative. They now have more negative particles than they had before, and therefore we become negatively charged. So here in this picture, sodium gives an electron to chlorine, and now chlorine has an extra negative particle, and so chlorine becomes negative, and you can see down here it says Cl with a minus sign. When atoms lose an electron, like the sodium atom did when it gave its electron to chlorine, when you lose an electron, you now have less negative particles than you had before, and therefore you become positively charged. So here, sodium gave away its electron, and now it has less negative particles, therefore it is positive. And so we can see this in this image. Again, sodium's electron moved to chlorine. Chlorine now has one extra negative item, so it is now negatively charged. Sodium has one less item, and so now there's an imbalance between protons and electrons, and it's positively charged. We have less negative. That's like, I minus -1, which gives me +1 charge. So when two charged atoms, like we've been talking about sodium and chlorine, come together, where one is positive and one is negative, and they're created as ions, charged particles, they then attract one another. And we know that positive and negative items attract. And here, sodium is positive, has a +1 charge, chlorine is negative, has a -1 charged, and now that one's positive and one negative, they're attracted to each other, and their attraction and ultimate bond that's created is called an ionic bond, a bond between ions. So this is just a larger image of that. Sodium gives one of its outer electrons to chlorine. Sodium now has a +1 charge, and chlorine has a -1 charge. They are then attracted to each other, and we get sodium chloride, which is actually salt, table salt.